So let's go ahead and jump into our BetMGM game of the week. It's Oregon going to Penn State. Happy Valley, whiteout conditions, 7:30 Eastern, NBC, Beaver Stadium. I cannot wait for this one, man, because to be real, the season starts, especially for Penn State, really for both teams in this game, okay? And typically I'd give you a breakdown for either side of this emotionally ahead of this game, but I think the emotional temperature and the emotional challenge for both these teams is kind of the same. Like, I think both these teams are wanting to announce themselves as real deal in the context of this college football season. That's not saying anything less of what Oregon did to Oklahoma State or Northwestern or anything less of what these teams are ranked, but I think there's still a feeling for us watching both these teams saying, all right, that's cool that you beat a Villanova. Cool you beat FIU. That's awesome you essentially took the tires off of Oklahoma State if you're Oregon. But you want to prove you're legit? You want to have like real deal respect to where people see you as the top team in college football, top team in the Big Ten, potentially, depending on how you look in the spot. Go take it. Respect is taken. It's not given out. It's not given out by people. It is taken. So in this spot, Oregon and Penn State, who's going to take it? Excited to watch that one. How much have both sides of this thing saved? Because you look at the OCs in this game. Andy Koltnecki for Penn State. Will Stein for Oregon. One, neither side has really had to be too creative to this point in the year. Oregon has been a little bit more creative. But for Penn State, your season starts this Saturday in Happy Valley. I'm not calling anything exciting if I'm Andy Koltnecki against FIU. I'm not emptying the clip against Villanova. No disrespect to those teams. I am making sure that everything that we're going to call in this spot that we like, Oregon, we're not letting you see ahead of time. So there's been a lot of discussion around, oh, well, what has Drew Aller been to this point in the year? Oh, they started slow. And I hear where that's coming from. I don't even think that's incorrect to think that way. But we were saying the exact same thing around Georgia before the Tennessee game, right? And then what happened? The offense exploded for 44 points. Gunnar Stockton went berserk, threw for over 300 yards. And we came away from that game saying, oh, okay, actually they are pretty good offensively. We might be saying the same thing about Penn State after this one. If nothing else, I guarantee you they will be more aggressive, more exotic, and they'll show a lot more they've been saving to this point in the season. For Oregon, I wonder a little bit, not how much they've saved so much as I alluded to before. I wonder how much they have out there that they are going to use to set up Penn State in this spot. Because Oregon, they have been more creative. They lined Kenyon Sadiq up at quarterback, the all-everything tight end for them, or I'm assuming he's going to be an all-everything tight end for them in a one Kenyon Sadiq. They've done some sleight of hand, some creativity has Oregon, but I wonder what they've put out there on film that they wanted Penn State to see, that Penn State had to practice for during the course of this week leading into this game. And maybe Will Stein pulls a little Uno reverse card on some things that he's shown and ends up being an advantage for Oregon in the spot. I don't know. But a big storyline in this one and a key matchup for us, Dante Moore in the chess game that he's going to have against Penn State's DC, Jim Knowles. Now, Jim Knowles, you remember him from Ohio State a year ago, dude's the Mad Hatter of college football. Like, he brings pressure. It's a bunch of rule-breaking looks defensively. He gets in your quarterback's head and makes him second-guess himself. So for Dante Moore, not only do you have that DC on the other side of this matchup for you, you also have the most difficult road environment you've played into this point in your career, even going back to UCLA. This will be the most raucous environment. So toughest DC matchup plus toughest environment. Interesting spot for A1 Dante Moore. I think we should note this, though. Dante Moore has been in Oregon's system under Will Stein for 2 springs, 2 fall camps. The Penn State defense has been under Jim Knowles' tutelage for all of 15 minutes. How aggressive is Penn State able to be to also keep the integrity of their scheme defensively? Because remember, those Ohio State defenses, as good as they were under Jim Knowles, that first year he was there was a couple of times you're like, they got beat there in that play because of their own positioning, because they didn't seem to be totally on the same page. And when you're going to be aggressive and break rules as a defense, you leave yourself for the opportunity to get got. So Dante Moore now, if he can handle the spot and see it all in real time, see it all being the scheme that Jim Knowles thrown at him, there's going to be some plays to be had out there. So Dante Moore seeing it, handling the moment, calibrating, and then Jim Knowles and the aggression and quite frankly, creativity he's going to try to call up on the defensive side. That's going to be really, really curious. My take on this is who's able to just be more sound will win this side of the matchup. And who wins this matchup could very well win the football game. If Dante Moore goes out there and he's seeing ghosts, like we say a lot on this show, turns into 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers in an environment that will be the wideout, which would only get the crowd even more on top of you, which then causes the confidence to, you would imagine, by human nature, start to decrease for Dante Moore in his first big-time road start. Like, you see where I'm going with this. That would be a bad world for Oregon. But if he's able to find the weak spots in this defense, maybe Penn State's a little bit off their game. Maybe they're not totally synced up in their fourth game now here under Jim Knowles in this Penn State defensive scheme. Big plays happen. Wideout gets turned down. Dante Moore's comfortable. Confidence grows. Offense has to answer scores. Just not the world you want to live in if you're Penn State. Now, I'll be surprised if either side of this just totally owns the line of scrimmage. Like Penn State last year ran for 296 against Oregon. They own that side of the matchup. Now, they lost the game, but they own that side of the matchup. I think Oregon will take last year's matchup in the Big Ten title game a bit personally. I'd be shocked if Penn State went for 2 bills, darn near 3 bills on the ground again. And the same thing for Oregon, averaged 4.5 yards a carry last year on the ground. Maybe they have a decent showing on the ground, but I don't think either side of this will be the backbreaker for this matchup in and of itself. Like, I think both sides are great on the line of scrimmage. I think Penn State, they have, 6, 7 offensive linemen they could play. That's not making a reference to that whole 6-7 deal. It's just how many offensive linemen Penn State could play. And then Oregon in and of themselves, they got like several defensive linemen they could play. They're legit 2 deep across the board there. So if that's the case, I think you'll see a stalemate on the line of scrimmage for both the offensive and defensive side for these 2 teams. So that makes me think, okay, the matchups then that I'm focusing on shift out to the perimeter. Penn State, we talked about it a lot. You had an Orange Bowl game where you came down to the final drive where Drew Aller throws a pick, and you look at that game after you lost. Notre Dame wins, go to the national title game, whatever. You're like, man, Tyler Warren was our only guy doing anything in the pass game for us that game. Like, what we got to find a way to get better. So they do. They go to the portal. They get several receivers. Trevor Pena, Kyron Hudson. Need y'all to step up big in this spot, man. Need it. Absolutely need it. If you're going to beat Oregon, you're not going to do it in a one-dimensional sense. If you're going to beat Oregon, you got to maximize your dude, Drew Aller. Like, Drew Aller, I think, physically has all the giftings to be the best quarterback in America, but those giftings are only so good as you're able to support him when it comes to guys on the outside. So it's been a slow start for that group. Curious to see if they can ramp it up here in this spot in their biggest game of the season. Now, for Oregon, I love how versatile they are. I mentioned Kenyon Sadiq. Expect him to see the football every single which way, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's the screen game, whether it's vertical. And then DeCorian Moore is a true freshman receiver for them, top receiver in America a year ago at the high school level. He does not play like a freshman. Like 50-50 ball, the way that he just consistently wins those jump balls, and it's impressive to see for a guy who's been playing football at the collegiate level all of like a cup of coffee. The thing that I'm watching here for Oregon is how versatile they are with those position groups. Malik Benson, another guy that got over from Florida State, real deal speedster. The versatility that Will Stein has to work with against a defense that I think could still be totally getting settled under Jim Knowles makes me think that Oregon's going to have a chance to score some points here in this spot because of the matchups they can dictate. When I can move Kenyon Sadiq around from the slot to in line to out wide, same thing with Malik Benson, with DeCorian Moore. When I can move my guys around, I get to pick my matchup. If I can pick my matchup and I trust my quarterback, Will Stein does, good things happen. So in this spot now, who we're picking, this has a feel to me of it being like a last drive situation. I think that Oregon and their having to play, albeit slightly, but better competition to this point in the year will serve them well. It's tough to pick against Penn State when there's a wideout situation going on, but I'm going to do it, man. I think it comes down to the last drive. I think Oregon walks it off with a field goal in Happy Valley. I don't think Penn State's some fraudulent team. I just think Oregon's better. I think they're hotter, and I think that their momentum going into this game with the teams they've played to this point will serve them well. I got the Ducks getting it done in the BetMGM Game of the Week. Final score, Oregon 27, Ducks 24. So by nature of Oregon outright, we take them to win, take them to cover. Go ahead and take Oregon money line in this one. Ducks win in Beaver Stadium.